Welcome to MLS Round-Up from We Are Soccer. I'm Craig Hearn, and as usual, I'm joined by Soccer Syndicate Scout Brooks Lambier. Today, we're going to be talking about CONCACAF Champions League, which kicks off this week. But before we jump in, I want to let you know that this video is brought to you by Tim Merritt and Ross Mortgage. For over 70 years, they have been in the mortgage lending game, and you can depend on Ross Mortgage for competitive rates, quality service, fast response, and no surprises. They handle your transaction from application to closing. Go ahead and give Tim Merritt a call at Ross Mortgage. Brooks, how are you, man? You doing all right this week?
Yeah, I'm good. Monday has been good. A little snow obviously yesterday, but driving around, being Valentine's Day, there's been a lot of pretty aggressive drivers on the road today. I don't know if people are rushing to Hallmark to get their cards for their wives or girlfriends or whatever, but man, there were some road ragers on the road today, man. Jeez.
I didn't have that issue. I had a lot of clear and open roads, so I don't know. Maybe I was ahead of the game there, but it's Valentine's Day, so who knows? People are rushing around trying to get home, get presents and stuff for the wives and girlfriends and all that good stuff. Yeah, whatever. It's not my thing. I'm not a big fan of this holiday, but whatever. It is what it is. All right, buddy. People are tuning in. They want to know what's going on with CONCACAF Champions League. A lot of people know of Champions League, but they know about European Champions League, right? Man City, Bayern Munich, and Man United, all those good teams. Over here on this side of the ocean, we have CONCACAF Champions League. A couple of MLS teams in there. Do me a favor, explain exactly what the CONCACAF Champions League is, how it kind of forms, where the teams come from. Give us your knowledge, my friends.
Yeah. So let's start kind of with North America, because it's kind of split, like North America and then Central America and the Caribbean get thrown in this format. Now, obviously, later we'll talk about the format in 2023 that's going to be pushed onward. It's going to be changed a little bit. Right. But in this current format, the last year of this format, so we have Liga MX. So there's 4 teams that have qualified this year. So we have Leon, Pumas, Santos Laguna, and Cruz Azul. So how they qualified. So Leon and Pumas qualified. I believe that is the one Liga MX. I believe so. It's the champions and then the runners up of Guardianes. They called the Guardianes champions. So of 2020 and then 2021, Santos Laguna was the runner up and Cruz Azul was the champion. So those are how the 4 teams qualify from Liga MX.
Okay. Yep.
And then jump into the MLS. And so we're talking about Seattle, which last year by default, because Colorado won the Western Conference, they were the highest ranked D1 pro team in America that didn't already qualify. So that's how they ended up qualifying for this. NYCFC won the MLS Cup, so the MLS Cup winners get to qualify. The Supporter Shield winners, the New England Revs, qualify. Montreal qualified through the Canadian Cup, which is played with the CPL and then the 3, Montreal, Toronto, and Vancouver in Canada. And then Colorado was the Western Conference regular season. So I guess technically the Revs, since they won the Eastern Conference regular season champs won, and since NYCFC have won the MLS Cup, that's hence why Seattle was the highest ranked, US D1 first division pro team that got into it. So that's why there's 5 teams from MLS. Okay. Now let's move into something we call CONCACAF League. Okay. So this is where you get the mixture of the teams from Guatemala, Honduras, Costa Rica, the Caribbean. So you get 22 teams from 11 associations, okay? And you play 2 legs in every round. So I don't have all the teams that qualify for that, but the teams that came out of it for this year were Forge FC, which finished 3rd in the CONCACAF League, which is pretty impressive for a CPL team since that's a very new league. We had it's Guastatoya and Comunicaciones from Liga Nacional in Guatemala. Okay. Overall in the CONCACAF League, so they won everything. And then Guastatoya was 4th overall in CONCACAF League. Then you had from Liga Betcris is FC Managua from Honduras, which was second overall. And then you had two teams from Costa Rica, Santos de Liga FPD. I'm not sure what that exactly stands for, but Santos de Guapiles was a 6 overall, and a very common team from Costa Rica, which a lot of MLS teams tend to grab players from after CONCACAF Champions League, Deportivo Saprissa, which finished 5th overall in CONCACAF League.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had the Caribbean Cup champions, which are played between teams in Jamaica, Haiti. You have different, all the smaller Caribbean teams play for this, and they all play for this one spot. Cavalry AS, which we were the Caribbean Cup, 2021 Caribbean Club champions. Tongue twister right there. So and then into that, the CONCACAF League, they play every round, 22 teams. They play 2 legs in every round, even in the final. So
I want to stop you real quick. So as I said at the beginning of this, I'm sure a lot of folks know Champions League Europe, right? They know that. So the way it's done over there is in the Premiership, top 4 teams there finished, 1, 2, 3, 4. In the next year, they go into the Champions League. Same in La Liga, Serie A, and Eredivisie, and those leagues. So it's the same thing over here for CONCACAF Champions League, depending on where you finish in your league. And also what you said was there's a couple little tournaments like in the Caribbean, right? There's a Caribbean tournament where those teams all play and the winning team then goes the following year to the Champions League. So there is some tie-ins, there is some kind of similarities there. What I did just hear you say, well, hold on. Before I get to that, CONCACAF Champions League Europe, they get into a group. They're put into groups and then they round robin it up, and the winners and sometimes the second place move on. What you just said was they kind of just play each other home and away in different games. It's not a round robin. It's not a group stage. This is unique. Is it because there's not as many teams? Do we think they do this differently?
When I was researching, because I knew how somehow some of these smaller countries qualify. I didn't know exactly about the CONCACAF League and everything. So within the 22 teams, they get drawn in a pod, and then they end up playing each other, and you play in a home and away leg and such, and then you get down to that the first stage of it, then you get down to the round of 16.
Sure.
So it keeps going down and down and down. You don't get into group stages in anything in CONCACAF Champions League. So there are no group stages, just like when we get the 16 teams after a CONCACAF League and then everyone else qualifies in the other leagues. You just get down to a 16 round knockout with 2 legs in the CONCACAF Champions League competition.
Sure. And
then when you get to the final, it's a single leg. So yeah.
It's a very interesting concept, the way they do things, but hey, no, it works. But like you said, it's changing. It's going to be changing in the next year or two. There'll be a whole new format coming in. So it'd be interesting to watch that. I know when we talked about it a couple of months ago, we were really looking forward to that new format. Yep. All right. So there's a good chunk, a handful of MLS teams in this thing. As you said, we got Colorado, we've got the Revs, we've got Montreal, we've got Seattle. Out of those teams, obviously those teams all did very well last year in the MLS in order to qualify for the CONCACAF Champions League. Out of those teams, which one do you think is best prepared to jump in and start playing right away in the Champions League? Because the games start up real quick here.
Yeah, tomorrow. Yep. 3 of them start tomorrow. I believe it's Revs, Montreal, and I think it's Seattle tomorrow, maybe New York City. It's one of those 3 teams that start tomorrow. But for me, if we're going to talk about who's added depth to their team for this competition, it's got to be New England.
Yep.
You've traded for Sebastian Lletget. You've signed Josie Altidore. You've added Omar Gonzalez. So you've added some veterans into that group with already a team that had won Supporters Shield, and unfortunately was a disappointment in the playoffs last year by losing to NYCFC, where everyone thought, we're all saying it. I think they were the ones. They were my darlings that were going to win. I picked them in our little bracket challenge, and single elimination's a tough thing. in this new MLS playoff format.
And they managed to hold on to Turner. They managed to hold on to Matt Turner because he's going to be still there for 6 more months, and he doesn't leave for Arsenal till the middle of the summer. So, I mean, they officially he's still with the team and will be the number 1, I assume. So that's like a big signing right there. But yeah, I agree with you. The Josie Altidore I think that officially went through today. I saw on the MLS website. They were tweeting about it and pushing it, but we've all known for a week or two that that's going to happen. Well, the Sebastian Lletget signing, that's a great one, obviously from LA. But you're right. I think they are very well set up, and Bruce Arena will have them ready to play. Of the other teams, who do we think is going to do well? I mean, New York and Seattle, they're not exactly pushovers. They could this be the year an MLS team finally goes through and wins this thing?
Very interesting. I mean, maybe it is with New York's depth, our New England's depth they've added. I don't think NYCFC has really done too much to change their team, to be honest with you. I mean, when you have the Golden Boot winner Castellanos still with your team, I mean, I like those odds. I mean, the people say, is it time to sell him? He's worth a lot. So I think some teams in Brazil or South America wanted to purchase him for a couple $1 million or maybe more than that. And NYC was like, nope, we want to keep him. We think he's still got value. He's still a young player. You have Seattle, who's got a very good mixture of players. They've given away a few guys. Brad Smith is now off at DC United, but they've signed some guys. They still have Rui Diaz. They still have Jordan Morris. You still have Nico Ladero. You have Albert Rusnak, who you've added, who was a great player with RSL. And you have Roldan, you have the Roldan brothers, you have Stephen Fry, who's a good goalkeeper who can change games for you and make games, big game saves to keep you in a match or to win a match for you. So it's going to be interesting. Even a team like Colorado, you deal away Kellen Acosta, you have Mark Anthony K. You've made a couple of different transactions and you have money to spend now where you can acquire players. And, so interesting to see how they do coming off their good season last year. So, I mean, it's always tough, I think, when you're an MLS team, and this is where the competition's been. And even in World Cup qualifying, which you notice a lot, is when you go away to these smaller countries or into Mexico, where the altitude changes, the weather changes, fields aren't the same dimensions, the grass is a little higher, it wasn't watered as much. It's not, going into those situations is always difficult to play in, and it can be very hostile sometimes. And I think what people need to know is what you see a lot in World Cup qualifying is a lot what you'll see in CONCACAF Champions League. Sure. It's not easy to do and to play in these places. They don't make it easy for you. So I think, if everyone starts to watch it a little bit and like it's been on TV a little more with FS2 and FS1 and over the years, and they've tried Facebook Live and has been great, but that's what you'll tend to notice. It's very hard on the away games to win. So that's why it's important to, at least come up with a goal or a draw or such, these two-legged games.
Yeah, I mean, when you're heading away, obviously the goal is for a win, but a draw isn't terrible, and then you hope for that win. You expect to get that win when you come home. But you're right; those fans, the environment that can be hostile, and what we call those, Brooks, those fields they play on that are bumpy and are not very nice, we call those cabbage patches. It's like you roll up and you're like, oh shit, we're playing on a cabbage patch today. Oh my god, look how terrible this is. But a lot of those teams, they're used to it. They use it to their advantage, right? They make the field. When you're playing against a really good team or a team who knows how to pass the ball and can run, you want to be on that field because it'll disrupt them. So those Central American teams, they use that to their advantage. So it is what it is. That's part of the game. Both teams have to play on the same fields, but you got to take care of business when you come home, as these MLS teams will be playing, as you said, there's 2 legs. So one of those legs will be at home. They got to take advantage of it and win those games. All right. If I pressed you right now, out of all the MLS teams in the CONCACAF Champions League, if I said pick one, who's that one team that you think actually can finally win CONCACAF Champions League for MLS? Who is it?
That's a tough one. Put me on the spot here.
Yep.
See, the two I'm picking between are Seattle and Revs. I love Seattle because I'll give you my breakdown, then I'll give you the one I think.
Go for it.
I love Seattle because I think having those Central American players, more of them, and just the grittiness they play and the different kind of formations they can play, it makes them, they're a very diverse group of players. and they've all played in those types of situations before in Central America, South America, so that makes them, seem fitting for, to play in those situations in the away matches. I love New England though, because they've just added to what they've had, and they've had experience in veterans and having more depth and saying, hey, okay, like, this is not a huge MLS game. We can afford to play these players and rest these players for the next leg. That gives us a huge advantage. And it's the veterans they added. And it's Bruce Arena. He's been in those environments too. Not that Seattle hasn't played in some of those CONCACAF qualifying games, Champions League games, the 2 legs and such the past couple of years, because they've won MLS Cup and they've done really well. Having said that, I will say I strongly believe that New England can get it done and win. It's very close for me because Seattle somehow pulls it out of their ass a lot and they just find ways to win. Yep. And if you can find ways to win like Seattle does a lot of the time, you can win in competitions like this.
Yeah.
Like, gosh darn it, Bruce, I'm going with you. Brandon By, DeJuan Jones, all out the door, legit, everyone with all your experience. Okay. I'm going with you guys. Don't let me down, boys.
We both got sucked in the MLS playoffs. So with this, we got both sucked in and said, man, the Revs are so good. Supporter Shield winners. Man, they had the best year that any team's ever had in the MLS regular season. We both got sucked in. And nope, they duped us. I think they're going to do it again. I don't think they'll get through. I don't think the teams in the MLS right now are fully equipped to go and win this thing. I got to be honest, but I hope I'm proven wrong. I really would love to see an MLS team in it. I want to ask you another question though. Do the MLS teams, do they take this as seriously as they should? Or do they just play to not be embarrassed and make sure they focus on the league? Do you know if these teams go in and take it 100% serious?
I mean, I think when LAFC made it to the final a few years ago when they had that great run, I mean, during COVID, I mean, it stopped, they were down and then they won the away match and the craziness they had to get to that final and the teams they had to beat in Liga MX, it was crazy. I had never seen anything. It was so entertaining to watch them too. That was Bob Bradley. I think that was his 3rd year. So 2020.
Right. Yep.
It was crazy. I mean, and I was so upset when they lost to Tigres, but damn Jean-Pierre Gignac for Tigres, the Frenchman that plays in the MX, curses, but he's a goal scorer. So what can you do? And, I think that actually that year they lost to Bayern in the FIFA Club World Cup, so Tigres didn't make it to the final in the FIFA Club World Cup. So credit to them, but it's teams do go out and want to win MLS. They do want to win this competition. It's just, you need the depth of players to get out there and to win, just like you would in CONCACAF in Champions League in Europe. You need the depth of players. You're going to rotate the players and the teams between the little cups you play and, in the league games and such. So, but you need the depth. And I think that's what makes it interesting in New England. I just think a lot of times the League MX teams, they still know the tricks to kind of piss off the American players and such. And those little tricks work. This year, I believe they're instituting finally VAR. So hopefully that helps because of that stupid incident with what's his name? Ochoa, the Mexican goalkeeper.
Yeah, Ochoa.
Jeez. And what he did with Atuesta, didn't even touch him, and he flailed, and Atuesta got red carded. And I think that's the reason why LAFC didn't win against Tigres. But with VAR, hopefully we'll catch that shit, and then this stupid crap won't happen, and then that can help the MLS teams.
I'm telling you right now, that won't stop it. And I'll give you another little piece of information here. We call those the dark arts, the dark arts of the game, right? Like, so I was watching it was Cruz Azul versus Necaxa the other day. Liga MX game in the Azteca, actually. So I was watching this game and VAR was in the game, and there was still these little things happening, people flailing after getting touched or diving. And the Mexican culture, the Liga MX, those those Central American teams, they love the dark arts. It's all part of the game. So I don't think even VAR is going to be able to stop it completely. But I do hear you, man. Hopefully it cuts a little bit out and evens the playing field. All right, man. Lots of information you provide us with. I just quickly want to make sure we show the graphic here of when the games are. Round of 16, as you said, starts tomorrow, but you'll probably be seeing this video today, which is February 15th and the 24th. The quarterfinals of CONCACAF Champions League is March 8th and 17th. Semifinals, April 5th and 14th. And the finals, April 26th and May 5th. So over the course of the next, 2 months is when these games will be played, with the finals there in April. What else? You got anything else for us, Brooks? What other little bit of information you want to give to us or the viewers for the CONCACAF Champions League before we finish up?
Yeah. So just to kind of touch on how it's going to change in 2023, just a few notes I have. And like I said, we've done a video on this. We can probably share that. There's an article with a video that shows everything, how it's changing. But in 2023 and onward, they'll do a regionalized group stage, and that's going to be played in the fall of each year. So the North American clubs, you get 4 groups with 5 teams in each group. Central American clubs have 4 groups, and then 2 groups with the Caribbean clubs. That leads the group stage, then leads into a 16-team knockout. But just so in that group stage, it kind of be like World Cup qualifying, where the winner of the group advances, and then the second place advances. In the North America, at least in North America, there's different rules for each section of CONCACAF, in the Central America, then the Caribbean. But then it goes to a 16-team knockout stage, which is going to be in the springtime, and that'll be 2 legs, and up until the final, which will be a single leg. So it's changing a bit. They're going to expand. So so you'll get 20 clubs now from Canada, Mexico, and the USA. So hopefully that diversifies into the CPL, and maybe you get a few USL clubs in there, 1 or 2, and you get some more of the Central American and Caribbean clubs, which will join in. Hopefully that'll help CONCACAF as a whole. So
it sounds like the leagues have come together and they figured out that CONCACAF and the Champions League is doing well. Let's expand it. Let's make it better. And they're stealing a little bit of what the Champions League that we know of is doing, and they're bringing that kind of format. So sounds like it's just growing as the sport grows, which is a good thing. We can all appreciate that. All right, man. Very much appreciate the knowledge you share with us every week. This is it's amazing, the stuff and the knowledge that you have. It's I'm sure I appreciate it. I'm sure the viewers do as well. Well, we'll be back next week. We'll talk about some of these matches, and hopefully, fingers crossed, some of our MLS teams can get some results for us, and we'll have some good things to talk about.
Keeping our fingers crossed, hopefully.
All right, man. Brooks, really appreciate it. Thanks again. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers.